Dead Souls! Dead Souls! Dead Souls! Dead Souls! Dead Souls! Dead Souls! This is how it goes with Dead Souls! This is how it goes with Dead Souls!
Okay, this is our very first project episode, Dad Sews a Pillowcase. Now, historically, a pillowcase is supposed to be the easiest project because it's just a simple bag. But why would I make things easy on myself for my very first project? I decided to sew a sausage roll French seam pillowcase that I saw on YouTube over at Crafty Gemini. You can check her out right here. Okay, now this is a little more intense than sewing a regular pillowcase because you have 3 pieces of fabric and all of the seams are hidden. Now, I didn't record myself cutting the fabric, but I probably should have, so you could have seen me for 2 minutes trying to figure out why this wouldn't cut because I didn't realize it had a safety on it. Yeah, that safety's for morons, and I proved that it should be there. All right, so I already have my main piece cut. It's this Batman fabric. Believe it or not, this is for my daughter, Melina. She loves Batman, the great detective, and she wants to be, when she grows up, as she always says, a police. Papa, I'm gonna be a police when I grow up. Well, this one's for my daughter, Melina. There's also a blue cuff, and there is a red accent piece. Now, you have to press all of your fabric. Heck, I didn't even know that press wasn't running an iron back and forth across fabric until this past week. Press means to press the iron on the fabric and not run it back and forth because it stretches it. I didn't know that. Yes, it's in the name press, but I wasn't smart enough to figure that out. Plus, as you can tell, I rarely iron. So, the main piece of fabric is cut 24 inches and you leave the selvages. Selvages? What is that word? Selvages. I didn't even know what it was. At first I thought they were saying suffrages, and I thought it had to do with the suffrage movement and all the women that got pricked in their fingers with needles. And then I realized a lot of the tailors back in the day were men. So that wasn't true. And then I thought it was Selfridge, like the guy on the Jeremy Piven PBS show. I don't know, people. These terms are new to me and they're driving me crazy. But a selvedge is the piece at the end of the fabric when they cut it at the fabric store. That little white strip. That, by the way, is not on all the pieces of fabric. I'm figuring things out. Okay, the main piece is 24 inches, the cuff is 12 inches, and the accent piece is 2 inches. Now, I have to finish pressing this. You press this piece in half. And I gotta tell you, I have 4 kids. I've diapered 2 of them as we adopted the first 2 at 3 and 5. My 3-year-old has a kidney disorder. And my 5-year-old, well, when I adopted him, my 5-year-old tested me every day with lying. And I've got to tell you that folding this little accent piece of fabric and trying to get it straight and pressed is probably the hardest thing I have ever done. This includes learning to drive a stick, imagining my life with 2 teenage daughters. Yes, this is the hardest thing I have ever done. I doubt it's straight. I really don't think it's even cut correctly. It's crooked everywhere I look at it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to attempt it because my misery is for your gain. You get to enjoy watching Dad sews and maybe seeing me destroy another sewing machine. All right, now this self-healing mat is plastic, and I'm already starting to imagine that I'm not supposed to press things on it because the heat is already starting to bubble it up. If there's something special I need to press this on, please leave it in the comments below. All right, I'm gonna straighten out all this fabric so you can see it well, and then we'll come right back. Okay, I've got my fabric laid out. You wanna lay out your fabric completely on your table, then you take your accent piece, raw edge up, and put it right to the edge of your fabric. And if you want, you can put a little pin here. Now you want to do it long ways so that you, ow! Okay, well there was the first prick on Dad Sews. you might think it's the second. Now you're going to put the pins long ways because you're going to do a magic little sausage roll so you get all those hidden seams. And now you lay your other piece, the cuff, along the edge of that. You want to put the pretty side down, but my side is blue on both sides. I'm a novice. I can't really tell if there is a better side or not, so I just picked the edge that looked darker. I don't know. You lay that on top of your other pieces, and then you pin them long ways. All right, I'm going to take this one and put it that way too. Now, I'm of two minds on Dad Sews. For one, I really do like the fails, and I would love to fail so that you can get a good laugh out of it and I can make a brand new destructive video. But I also want to give my little girl a really awesome pillowcase. And there's nothing better than delivering the perfect gift to your little girl and then having her snuggle up next to her dad on the couch. So if it all fails, I am totally happy with that, and you will see it from fail to finish. But I'm also crossing my fingers and hoping this comes out. All right, after you have the thing completely pinned, you flip up your cuff and then you roll up your main material in a sausage roll, as they say. All right, then we flip this. I think I need to roll that one more time. I will tell you, this is a bit hard to do, at least on the little table that I am working on and trying to give you a good view as well. All right, now we flip all of this together. We match up the edges and then we repin because we're going to sew. Now everything is uneven on the end, but that's not going to matter because we're supposed to cut it after we sew it all together. I'm going to attempt to pin these now, and then I'm going to be right back. Okay, now I've repinned everything vertically instead of horizontally like we had it, and everything is tucked away in the roll. Now, why did I decide to go with a French seam sausage roll? Well, for one, it's because I figured it was go big or go home. And if I fail big, that's better for you and my views. But the real reason? I didn't want to have to rethread my machine. If you saw video number 1, you realize that using this automatic threader is a pain in the A, and I didn't want to have to go through that again so soon. With the hidden seam, it didn't matter if I used white thread, yellow, red, pink. It doesn't matter because it doesn't have to match. If only every project had hidden seams. All right, now you're supposed to sew this with a 1/4 inch allowance. I really don't know what that means because I've never taken a lesson before. But I see that there are 1/4 inch markers on the machine. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm a little scared. Can you just pull the pins out on the go like I just did? Maybe. I'm not sure. Are you getting this? Okay, I can already tell that it's going crooked, and I pinned it very poorly. And also my cutting is very, very crooked. But as first projects go, hopefully this doesn't suck. All right, really, that is a crooked cut. And I probably did not put enough pins in. Is going faster better? Probably not. Oh, that 1/4 inch thing is not happening. Ah! All right, I can already feel underneath that this fabric is jacked up. But I'm gonna keep going because my little girl, as much as she'll appreciate an awesome pillowcase, she is also very forgiving. Except when it comes to her little brother, who she wants to beat with the real baton that I bought her for her police Halloween outfit. All right, let's just push down on the pedal and go. As Jeremy Clarkson says, more speed. I really have a bad feeling about this. I think that I've already not only sewn a really crooked line, but I also think that some of the stuff that's rolled up in the sausage just got sewn with it. All right, back stitch. I know I have to trim this up, so I really don't know how much to backstitch. Whoa, that's crooked! All right, I'm going to flip the foot up. I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna cut it with these handy dandy Fisker trimmers. All right, let's look at what we've got. Probably the most crooked seam you've ever seen. There's also loops sticking up from it, which I know are bad. I don't know why it happened. I don't know if the machine's threaded wrong, if I went too fast. This is horrible. But, you know, it's a pillowcase. So let's go ahead and pull out the material. This is what you're supposed to do. Now, if this doesn't pull out, it probably means I sewed up the inside of the sausage roll incorrectly. When you watch the videos on YouTube, they always make it look easy. Now, that's because they've been doing it for a long time, but it's also because they cut out all the bad stuff. I told you that I was going to let you see my fails if they happened, and I mean that. You get to see all the sewing fails. All right. Hey, it actually worked. Maybe. Oh, no, 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 no. Yes! Hurrah! All right, now, I'm tempted just to go home at this point. But there you have it. I have my accent color, my cuff, and my fabric piece all done. Now we're going to move on to the next step, and I'm going to move my camera around. Okay, now looking over the sewing job I did, it is really horrible, but I have to admit I'm kind of pleased to bits. I'm quite chuffed with how well it came out for my first time. I did trim off all the selvages off the edge with, it said a 1/4 inch. I'm not sure I actually did a good 1/4 inch allowance, but I went short on the other side. Look, this isn't going to come out perfect my first time, but you trim off all of these uneven edges. Now, all you have to do is take your sausage roll, previous sausage roll, former sausage roll, and you want to match up these bits. You match these up so it looks like the red accent line goes completely around. Now, I think I'm supposed to press it at this point. I can already tell how bad of a job I did because the blue and the red on this part don't even match up to the blue and the red on this side. But I'm gonna go with it, people. All right, I believe you should press this first, and then you want to pin it down this side, and then pin it down the other side as well. And then you're just gonna sew all the way around with a seam allowance. And if you think you were doing it backwards because you're sewing on the front, you're not, because you're gonna flip it around and then hide the seam later. So I'm gonna pin this really quick, and then we'll be back to sew sewing step number 2. All right, now we have our fabric pinned with our edge, well, our accent piece lined up on this end as well as I could. Like I said, it's very obvious that I did an uneven job sewing. I also grew up thinking you could leave the pins in the machine as you sewed. I'm sure I saw my mom when she was cuffing my pants leave the pin in when she sewed. I also remember going to school with crooked cuffs. So maybe that's part of the problem. All right, I'm going to put my foot down and get sewing. I think you're supposed to do another 1/4 allowance. There is my 1/4 mark. Oh no, if that's the 1/4 mark, I've been doing everything completely wrong. All right, we already knew this. One pin out. Let's put our foot to the pedal, as they say, and start sewing. If you see me doing something on here that is completely incorrect, and you are not a novice sewer, seamstress, tailor, please leave a comment below, and I would be very interested to hear it. I'm also very interested to get better. I want to get better at sewing. That's one of the points of Dad Sews, is not only for the fails, but also so that I can get better at sewing. I'm not entirely sure how fast to run the machine or how slow, conversely, but I'm doing my best. And while I might not be doing a good quarter seam allowance, I am trying to keep it as even as possible, which I find to be nearly impossible. All right, now I'm coming up on the corner. Now, on Crafty Gemini, she said this was easy enough. You just leave the needle down. And pull the pin or the foot up. Hey, guess what I forgot to do when I first started? Backstitch. All right, let's hope that it doesn't matter. All right, I don't think I went far enough. This is gonna be messy, folks. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna put the foot back down and keep sewing a little bit. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do that little backstitch thing here just to get back to where I think is a quarter. I don't really know. I'm gonna lift my foot up. I'm going to spin it like she said. Yeah, it's easy enough to do, but how well is it going to turn out? That's the question. All right. Now, do I backstitch here? I really don't know. And actually, I think with the hidden seams, ow! That hurts. You don't want to have your seam very thick because you want it hidden inside of the pillowcase. So, let's just put the pedal to the metal on this thing, pull these pins out, and sew. Fast, like a man. Okay, that was a bad idea. That already went crooked. Seriously, when do you pull the pins out of yours? Right when it gets there? Do you go as fast as I'm going? Do you go slow? I've seen different people do it different ways. And I think a lot of it has to do with skill, which is inherent, but I don't have, but that's all right. They say practice makes perfect, right? 10,000 hours. Although 10,000 hours of a sewing machine is starting to frighten me. I don't know if I'll have all of my fingers and maybe even toes intact when it's done. All right, we're coming in the home stretch. You are watching Dad sew a pillowcase for the first time. Oh, that went horribly wrong. All right, I really don't know whether I'm supposed to backstitch this or not. I'm just gonna go with it. All right. Executive decision. All right, lift up the foot. Use these handy dandy Fisker snippers. These things are awesome, by the way. Every guy in a garage is always looking for a sharp pair of scissors. Sewing scissors, who knew? All right, here's my seam. It is also horrible. You can maybe see the loop sticking up here. It's half of the width of my finger. So that's a bad sign. Excuse me. All right, we are supposed to now pull this out. Hey guys, if you're watching Dad Sews, you did get to see me fail because you're supposed to sew this side and this side together, and I have sewn the pillow entrance together. Cut to the fail scene.
Dummy.
The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
Are you stupid or something?
I'm as stupid as a stupid does.
Freaking idiot!
Boo! Boo!
Are you crazy? Or just plain stupid?
Stupid is, stupid does, Mrs. Blue.
You're an idiot.
I'm an idiot!
You big dummy, see what you did?
Muck! Boo!
Are you stupid or something? Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
Boo!
Smithies, are they booing me?
No, they're saying Boo earns. Boo earns.
Are you saying boo or boo earns?
I was saying boo earns.
All right, Now, how many of you were screaming at your screen? You idiot! You're sewing over the hole of your pillowcase. Yeah, I am an idiot. But how many of you admit it? How many of you didn't even notice? Yeah, that's because the sewing thing is hard. All right, now what we need to do is we need to trim up the excess on this piece. All of this extra fabric next to where we cut, we need to trim up. Let me move my camera for you. Oh yeah, you can see my trimming now. All right, we're gonna get rid of all this extra, just a little bit next to the seam. I'm sure I'm supposed to do a 1/4 inch, but I don't really know if that's gonna work because I did such a crooked job sewing this. So what I'm trying to do is just stay the same distance away on my seam, which I'm gonna tell you is gonna be hard. All right, safety down. This Fisker cutting wheel is really awesome because you just don't think it's going to cut through all of these layers of fabric, as I do a bad job there. But it does. Ha! Man, doing stuff on camera. You can't go wrong that way. All right, now I'm going to trim this. Now I got very, very close to my seam there, my stitch, which is really, really poorly done. There's the fabric. All right, we throw that on the floor and get my son to clean it up later. Now we are going to turn this inside out, and then this is where the French seam comes into play. We sew along our seam, and then our seam should be hidden. Now the trick that I saw on, I've already cut through one of my seams, so hopefully we can make this work anyway. The trick I saw on Crafty Gemini was to roll the seam in your fingers, and that would help this pop out or flatten out so that you could sew against it. But I have had zero luck since I cut my seam on the end. I'm just gonna press this out. We're gonna give it one more sewing pass. All right, I've gotten everything turned inside out and I pressed it very quickly. Not a great job. Now we're going to try to sew on the just inside of the seam we already have. And if you have a crooked seam like mine, that is going to be a gem. I'm going to make sure our camera is lined up here so you can see my sewing and see for yourself that it is horrible. And then I'm going to sew the final stitch on our sausage roll French seam pillowcase. Ow! I got myself caught with that thing again. This little metal adjustment knob that sticks out of the sewing machine is a horrible, horrible death trap. All right, I'm gonna start going. I'm gonna backstitch. Now, the reason I'm backstitching everything is A, because I heard it was good to do, but B, this is a pillowcase for my daughter. She's 7 years old. She destroys most of what she gets her hands on. I mean, think about it. My daughter would love a Batman pillowcase. Her favorite, oh man, it is going through a very thick seam there with all that fabric together. I just hope it holds together. She loves Batman. It's not going through. There we go. And her favorite stuffed animal is a bat bear that we got at Build-A-Bear. When we went to Build-A-Bear, my wife showed her all around the store and she just looked at Batman and she said, "I want that." And my wife said, "You sure you don't want to at least try a Princess Bear this time, or a Care Bear, or I don't know, anything sweet?" "No, I want that." And she didn't go for this nice blue and gray Batman like I have on this pillowcase. No, she went for the Christian Bale Batman Begins, all black Batman, and that is her Bat Bear. She sleeps with it every night. She wants to be a crime fighter, and she wants the world's best crime fighter with her at night. All right, now it's easier to sew without having to pull these pins out. I do appreciate that, but I also know that my seam is so crooked that I'm not sure I'm really doing the best job staying just inside that seam. Now we're coming up on the corner, which, like I said before, you're just supposed to leave your needle down and then lift the foot up, spin. Yeah, that didn't work. Oh, I didn't leave the needle down. See, it's actually key to listen and then follow through on things. Boy, my son will be laughing when he sees this because I've told him that about 1,000,000 times in the 3 years since we've adopted him. All right, we're going, home stretch. How many of you have already commented on the video that I was an idiot for sewing up the end of the pillowcase that you stick the pillow through? And honestly, that was the one fail. It actually didn't even enter my mind. I thought of all the things that could go wrong. One being I sewed through my finger. Two being I just get frustrated and totally destroy this machine. But sewing over the hole that the pillow goes in, honestly, didn't even enter into it. I'm going to backstitch here. Like I said, not sure if it's the smartest thing to do, but I know that my little girl's going to destroy this thing. So, pull it out. That backstitch actually wasn't so bad. All right, now let's see if the seams are actually hidden like they're supposed to be. Hey, look at that. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Is it the best? No. I can already see the problems on it. Generally, no, you cannot see the white thread that I had. Here's a quick shot on this camera. And there we go. You can't see the seams. Now, can you see some of the threads poking out? Yes, you can. Can you see some of the fabric where it was cut? Yeah, I did a pretty bad job of that. This is going to take a lot more practice. But when all is said and done, I'm going to be able to present my daughter with a pretty decent Batman pillowcase. So thank you for watching this episode, Dad Sews a Pillowcase. Please share with your friends, if for no other reason than for them to see me sew up the opening end of this pillowcase and then watch our fail montage. Please come back to Dad Sews every week where we will have new projects and new fun videos for those who sew. Next week, we'll even have a video called 5 Things I've Learned While Shopping as a Dad in a Sewing Store. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to click subscribe. It's right there. It's so easy. Just click subscribe and we will see you next time.